What do you what year class are you? You're doing computer science.
I'm a senior in computer science.
Okay. You're doing are you doing your capstone yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. That was pretty fun. Like doing a big project. I liked. I'm a grad student,
Nice.
and like so now I'm like, it's like similar classes, but like I'm doing more big projects and stuff, and I like that stuff. All right. So, what was the so we talked to you earlier about how it works. I think you have an understanding. I'm just going to be questioning you about your
Am I
reasons.
supposed to be looking there or
No, you're just talking to me.
Okay.
Don't. Just two people. We're having a conversation, and don't worry about it. Try.
Okay.
Like I know it gets like it's a little bit of anxiety.
Okay.
But like if you are anxious at
fine.
any point,
I'm fine.
let me know. If you ever want me to stop asking, just let me know and we'll wrap up.
Sure.
So what is the claim? What is the thing that you want to talk about?
I want to talk about my spiritual beliefs, which is a small system called the Neogenesis system.
How would you say that?
Neogen.
Neogenesis system.
IAN.
All right. So Neogenesis system. I've never heard of that. Would you mind telling me a little bit about it for just some background knowledge?
Sure. So the Neogenesis system is based on reason and logic to understand the spiritual reality. And there's two realms. There is based on Gnosticism, there's the pleroma and the holos. Those are the Gnostic terms.
Yeah.
But a more secular term would be the frequency domain and the frequency domain and the space-time domain.
Okay.
And basically, the idea is that every person and even animals are souls called zetas, which are eternal beings. We are not created or destroyed, because energy cannot be created or destroyed. And this is based in mathematics, based on the number 0. So 0 can contain an infinite amount of information. So like 4 minus 4 equals 0. Also 573 minus 573 is 0. And it explains where we came from, because we are eternal beings. We just don't remember. We have multiple lives, is the belief in reincarnation.
Okay. I'm a nerd, so I actually do know a little. I know a little bit about Gnosticism, and like I kind of hear what you're saying. Would you say that it's more of a belief that explains the world, or does it make specific claims, like you said, like one about like that reincarnation is true? Is it more like an explanation, or does it like say like these are things that exist and like we know that is the case? Do you know? Does that make sense as a question?
We can know things for certain through logic and reason through math, but there are some things we cannot know.
Okay. So for the claim, would you say that you believe the Neogenesis system is true? Would that be a good summary? Okay, cool. All right. So the Neogenesis system is true.
I know it's a hard one because you don't have the background knowledge.
I don't know. Like I know a little bit of Gnosticism. I know
it's
a little bit of
based on
paranormal,
Gnosticism, but the difference is in Gnosticism, the earth is evil.
Yeah.
The physical world is evil, and the Neogenesis system doesn't believe in that.
Yep. And actually, the fact that I don't know it actually doesn't matter, because whatever your belief is, it doesn't really affect the method, because like I'm just asking about reasons. So like I actually don't need to know anything about it. How confident are you on a scale of like 0 to 100 that the Neogenesis system is true?
9.
90 or 9?
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Okay. 9.
And there are some things I disagree with, but for the most part, I agree with it.
Okay. Why aren't you at a 10?
Energy. Energy is a big part of my personal beliefs, and they talk about it a little, but not as much as I believe in personally.
You think it should be a larger focus of the system?
Not necessarily. So I am a omnitheist. So I believe in studying multiple religions, and all the different religions all contribute to the whole. All the different spiritual systems, and not just the big ones that everyone's heard of: Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, paganism, but the small. This is a new spiritual movement, a small movement. All of them contribute to the whole, and by isolating one thing, you can focus on it more. So,
Would you say that they're all true?
in a way, not exactly. It depends on how you
They all
interpret.
have truths?
All have truths, yeah.
Okay. So you say you're at a 90% that the Neogenesis system is true. Is there anything that you can think of that would bring you down?
Bring me down?
Yeah, like to an 8. You know, maybe like you'd be less confident in it.
I think exploring other paths, there might be some things that my whole life has been changing religions, changing spiritualities. So as I explore new paths, new ideas, I've been very confident in things and then changed it. But I sense energy, and and you cannot really reason with energy. You feel it.
Yep.
Where the Neogenesis system is very based on logic. It's not based on sensing energy, and I'm a big energy sensor, and that's the difference I have. But it's okay, and I think it's okay that they don't focus on energy, because then you can really get into the philosophy, into the mathematics, into the reason when you put the energy aside.
Do you think there's any mathematical counterexamples that exist?
I do want to study higher level math, even beyond what my major requires.
How far have you on?
Calculus 2.
I did. I went to calculus 3 and then differential equations. Watch out for like when you take differential equations. It's a big class. It doesn't sound that hard because you know differential. And you're like, oh, it's just more equations.
Did you
No,
take both ODE and PDE, or just ODE?
I don't know. I didn't take them here.
Ordinary differential equations, and then there's partial differential equations.
Yeah. I've done those, but can't talk shop. I'd love.
Well, Fourier transformations are a part of partial differential equations, and Fourier transformations are part of the Neogenesis system. It explains how we go from the frequency domain, the pleroma, to the physical domain is through the Fourier transformation.
Yeah, you can model it with a Fourier transform. Okay. Earlier you said that you've changed your religion like a couple of times.
Many times, more than a couple.
Okay. Would you say that the previous version of you was mistaken?
Yes.
How do you know that the future version of you, well, do you think the future version of you will look at the current version of you with your current beliefs that the Neogenesis system is true? How likely is it that that person will look back and say, I was mistaken?
I don't know, but I hope I forever change. So I'm many things. I'm pagan, I'm Neogenian, I've got some New Age, some occult things, beliefs in me. My big focus right now is the Neogenian system, but in general, I am a omnitheist, so I believe that all religions contribute to the understanding. So my view is to study all religions. Now, I'm going for my second degree. My first degree, I was here at Kent State, and I was an evangelical Christian. I went around trying to convert people. I went up to hundreds of people and just started talking to them, and they converted me.
So
I started questioning my faith because of what they were saying.
Okay. How would you find out if you were going to evolve again?
So how do we gain spiritual knowledge? You know, there's multiple ways of gaining spiritual knowledge. There's study, so the intellectual study. There's experience. There's, like the Neogenian system says, there's reason, And like the New Agers say, through energy, just you just sense something is true.
Okay. So, Neogenesis system.
I know I'm all over the
Yeah.
place.
Well, yeah. I'm trying to focus. I've only done this a few times,
Yeah,
so
it's
I'm more
okay.
nervous than you. Is there anything that you can think of that would prove the Neogenesis system incorrect?
More math. I mean,
More math.
they're all based in math, so more math would prove it wrong.
Can you think of any kind of specific math that would like an
Probably very
actual?
advanced math, but I'm not sure what kind.
Okay. How would you find out if there was a math system that would disprove it? Like where would you look?
Well, on campus,
Yeah.
studying, I just increasing my knowledge. I'm not sure. That's the thing about life is you don't know what's going to happen. I'm open for change, and I want to learn about many different topics, not just math, but as many different topics as I possibly can.
So there's three U's that I'm imagining. There's the evangelical U, there's the Neogenian system U,
There was the Jewish me too.
there's the Jewish
I
U.
did Judaism for a while.
Okay, and also I'm imagining a future Jew, a future you, that knows something that you don't know now.
Sure.
What do you think that person knows? And this thing that they know, they say that the Neogenian system's false. What do you think she would tell you?
Holy cow. Uh, what would she tell me? See, the Neogenean system, it focuses just on the soul. But a lot of New Agers believe that we have a soul and a spirit, and they just focus on one spiritual realm, the pleroma. But a lot of New Agers believe there's many realms. So there's many dimensions. They don't really get into dimensions. If I haven't explored that a lot, just a little. I don't even know if I would believe it. But if I did believe it, it would be a contradiction. But you see, the thing is about the Neogenean system is they don't say you have to believe all of it. And they talk about Neogenean adjacent concepts. So a lot of people do something else too. There's a lot of like pagans and New Agers. We're an online spiritual community. We're all around the world. We gather online.
Yeah, so you don't have to believe all of it, but is there like a core tenet where like if you don't believe it, then
Reason. Reason, the importance of reason and math are extremely important.
okay, and so like if reason is not effective or not true in some way, then like Neogenean would just be out the door.
Correct.
Do you have any reasons why you think reason and rationality?
Isn't that a contradiction? Is there any reason that think that reason is not the reason?
Yeah, yeah, it's a loop, but I'm curious what you think.
You know, like the Christians say, you got to go on faith. The New Agers say, you know, it's you sense the energy. So, you know, faith and energy sensing would be two examples of things that would contradict reason.
Okay.
I don't think they're sufficient. Even though I'm very big into energy, I don't believe it is the end-all be-all to understanding the supernatural.
So I'm going to have you list, kind of briefly, like in like a sentence each, or like just 1 point each, your 3 biggest reasons that you think it is true.
Math.
One is math. I hear you said you feel the energy.
No, for the Neogenean system, I'm not sense other things I believe in because of energy.
Okay.
For example, chakras, which is not part of the Neogenean system. But when I do chakra meditations, I can feel the chakras. I can't. There's no empirical evidence. There's no mathematical evidence that chakras are real, but I can sense it.
All right, so you're big on empiricism as well.
Sort of. I think it all has its place, but I think there's definitely a fault with empiricism. You cannot use empiricism to study the supernatural because the supernatural is beyond the senses. The senses don't even tell us the whole world. We see very little of the light spectrum. We hear very little sounds. We're not even the senses are flawed.
So like if you can't test it, how do you know it's not your imagination?
Well, there's multiple ways of testing. There's empirical testing and then there's mathematical testing. There's a lot of things, like, for example, many dimensions in physics. A lot of physicists will say, we don't know if this is real because we can't prove it empirically. We can only prove it mathematically.
Yeah.
Well, from a Neogenian perspective, if you can prove it mathematically, then you did prove it.
Well, usually like okay, all right. Okay. That's a good answer. I like that. All right, so first one you said was math. And you said earlier that if the math came out that, like, you said the math could make it, like, there could be a mathematical disproof that would just completely remove it. Okay. So that would just bring your confidence in it to like zero, right? Okay. Do you have a second reason besides the math?
The logic. So I've been reading this book called Meta-Rationalism, which is about the math and the logic of the Neogenian system. And if I could see a logical proof that makes their logical proofs not make any sense, then that would tell me.
So we're going to do a quick thought experiment. Super intelligent aliens, they just arrive right here. And they come out of their spaceship and they're millions of years more advanced than us. And they tell you that logic math doesn't disprove it.
Sure.
But like, it's actually, it's one of those things where you can't prove it either, right? It's actually like an irrelevant thing. And there's other reasons, to consider this, but those two aren't one of them. Those two, like, they technically we can't, like Gödel's incompleteness theorem or something like that. If that was the case, what would be your confidence in it? If you couldn't prove it mathematically, logically?
Aliens aren't going to convince me of anything. Okay. They're going to convince me as much as an evangelical Christian.
Okay, well, if you became convinced yourself that the logic and math like couldn't prove it, it didn't disprove it, but it was just like insufficient. How confident would you be that Neogenian system is true?
Could you repeat that? I'm not quite understanding the question.
So if you for some reason found out that logic and math couldn't prove it, like it didn't disprove it, it was just like, oh, it's like it's beside the point, right? If you came to think that, what would you still believe that the Neogenian system is true?
Well, I found it interesting when the Neogenians talk about logic and math being so important. There's another group that says the same thing. It's atheists. But atheists don't come to the same conclusion that we are eternal beings. They don't come to the same conclusion that reincarnation is real.
Yep.
But they use the same argument. So if there was an argument made through reason that reincarnation wasn't real, then that might convince me the Neogenian system isn't real.
Okay. Do you think people can use reason and logic to reach false conclusions?
Of course, but they're not reasoning correctly.
How do you know you're not that person?
I might be. Certainty is not guaranteed. When I was an evangelical, I preached certainty, that we knew for certain that we were going to heaven if we believed in Jesus. But now I don't believe that anymore.
Yep.
Life is an adventure and we're always changing.
I like that. Would the past you say that they were using reason and logic or math?
No.
It wouldn't.
It wasn't important to me.
What would she say?
Faith was important to me.
Okay.
And I read the Bible every single day. I even learned Hebrew and Greek so I could study it at a deeper level. And I was telling people, I believe this 100%, while internally I was doubting it.
Yeah. Yeah, we hear that a lot. Um, all right. Do you have any, besides the math and the logic, do you have any other like reasons for it that are like outside of that domain? Just like
I like the community. I like gathering on Discord. We have online meetings every Sunday. I watch YouTube video live streams about it. I have a lot of Facebook friends that I communicate with. But,
Yep.
you know, community is not a reason to believe in something. It's something I like about it.
do you think it could do you think it could bias you?
Maybe.
Um, do you do anything? Would you want to know if it was biasing you?
Sure.
Um, how do you think? And you'd want to reduce that bias if possible. Is that also correct?
Mm-hmm.
How would you reduce that bias if
By
it is there?
exploring other things.
Okay, cool.
And I intend to do that regardless, is to explore. And sometimes I even go back to my old roots. I go back to Christianity and look at some old Christian stuff, conservative stuff. I don't like doing that, but just to keep everything in perspective, because even evangelical Christianity has changed a lot from when I was in it. Everything is constantly in change. So it's good to explore.
Yeah, I agree with that. You're saying a lot of stuff I like. Do you think? I think I'm going to be wrapping up around there. Do you think your confidence? You said you started at a 9 out of 10. Do you think it has adjusted at all?
You bring up a good point about the community bias. There might be a strong community bias I didn't think about. Maybe that brings me to an 8.
Okay. If you want, I can go over like I can keep. You want me to keep asking? Or?
Sure.
Okay. Do you have any other reasons besides math, logic, community? Is there any other things about it that make you believe Neogenesis system is true?
This is not a reason to believe in something. I will notice my own bias, but it has greatly helped my mental health.
It's effective. Yeah.
So the basic idea in the Neogenesis system is, in the very beginning, before the Big Bang, everything was God. Everything was one. And then it split into myriads of pieces, and that's what caused the Big Bang. And it is our goal to come together and be one again, and this will happen at what's called the Genesis singularity. But what happens after the Genesis singularity, it'll be wonderful, it'll be complete peace, but complete peace and unity is hell. So we'll break up again into a myriad other pieces and then come back together again.
What does that have to do with you're talking about mental health? Like, how does that relate?
The reason it is because it puts everything in perspective for me. I used to have a really bad anxiety. I had a diagnosed anxiety disorder, and everything in this life seemed to matter. Everything was so important, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to reincarnate, and after that I'm going to reincarnate, and then we're all going to come together, and then we're just going to split apart again. So it's like...
It helps you let go and relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you think, and you said you think that might bias you, I think you said something
Sure.
like that. Would you want to know if it was biasing you? Would you want to know, like, is that something you're, like, if it's really helpful for you?
I actually have thought about this, and it's been a stress on me.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but I have thought, what if I'm wrong? This has helped me so much deal with anxiety that it not being real is scary to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that feeling. That's it's a big topic, and I'm not sure if I have a good answer for it. I think I'm gonna leave it there. That was good. So you said you might be at an 8, something. Okay. Do you have any questions for me? That's like the SC part, like over. Yeah. Do you have any questions for me?
What did you think of what you learned about the Neogenesis system?
It's interesting. I'd be curious about the math and the logic thing because I'm big in the math.
Have you heard of Euler's formula?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, in the Neogenesis system, that's called the source formula, and it is the formula of the soul.
Okay. Do you have a Gödel's incompleteness theorem in there somewhere?
I have not finished reading Meta-rationalism. It might be in that book.
It probably is. That's the one where like whenever I'm thinking about like mathematics, I go down to that, or like it's like the incompleteness problem,
Okay.
and like it's sort of like it kind of shakes things up. That's fun. I think it's interesting. I'm not sure if I'm sold, but
I'm not here to convince anyone.
But I think I like it. Anything that makes people reflect, especially, and anything that gives like community and like helps people out on four. And yeah, I think you did a good job. You did a good job explaining it. Not too long. I think that was good.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. This is nice.